Hello, good evening and welcome back to the channel. We are ready for round 4 of the Six Nations. Wales against France, kicking us off on a Friday night at the Principality. All set for this watch along. Welcome everyone in. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit the like, subscribe, Facebook or Twitch, make sure to like and follow. So good to see so many of you in the chat already. Great to see so many of you there. And I'm delighted this evening to be joined by my good friend Ben from Rock and Roll Rugby for this watch along. Ben, how are you, mate? You doing well?
Yeah, very good, thank you, mate. Still 2 lines on the COVID test, but we're getting better, mate, and we got some rugby to look forward to, so that makes things all the better, doesn't it?
Absolutely, it does. And yeah, let's hope you're better pretty soon. I just wanted to ask you, first of all, there's been a lot of talk over the last 24, 48 hours about it being on a Friday night. I know that there's still about 15,000 tickets which weren't sold. 8 p.m. kickoff in Cardiff. And of course, then we've got £100 tickets. What's your take on the whole situation?
I think it's a pretty woeful situation. I think if we look back across the history of Friday night fixtures in the Six Nations, we always seem to be involved. And I know that it's not something that we particularly choose to do, but I know that the money means that, it's likely to be us involved. French TV and French broadcasters always love a Friday night fixture, so that usually brings in a pretty hefty sum for the union. So they usually, put money before anything else. But I just think Friday night rugby, yes, it does work. But I just think at £100 a ticket, Wales are not playing particularly well at the moment. It's a really, really difficult one for me to justify spending that money. One of my friends, he's got probably the best analogy for it. He was like, as soon as rugby became more than £1 a minute, that was him done with buying tickets. So, and I think I'm pretty much of the same testament. Anything above sort of 75, 80 quid is you're really starting to take the mick out of the consumer then. And as much as it pains me to say, you're taking rugby away from the working man, and it's becoming this sort, especially when it comes to next year now. Only twice I've ever gone to see either an England or an Ireland game, and getting hold of tickets to go to those games is impossible because they're priced out from rugby fans. Rugby clubs get a small amount, but I just think it's so money driven at the moment, and it's not really taking into account the fans that are going to be paying this money. And for the first time ever, we've actually voted with our feet, and like you said, 15,000 tickets. France haven't brought over as many supporters, but still 15,000 is a lot for a Six Nations game to be empty.
Yeah, it is. And this Principality is just known for this incredible atmosphere and for always being full. And I think it is maybe a bit of a wake-up call for the Welsh Rugby Union. We'll get into the teams now, and we'll get your thoughts on it. We did do a preview, so we went in depth on it, but we'll have a look quickly now. This is how Wales line up this evening. Liam Williams plays at fullback with Alex Cuthbert and Josh Adams on the wings. Jonathan Davis comes into the centre, and Nick Tompkins is out with a concussion, and Jonathan Davis partnered by Owen Watkin. Bigger and Williams at 9 and 10. In the front row, then you got Gareth Thomas comes in for Wyn Jones. Ryan Elias and Thomas Francis are in the front row. Will Rowlands and Adam Beard in the lock. Seb Davis comes in at 6. Josh Navidi at 7, and then Faletau at 8, leaving a bench of Derry Lake, Wyn Jones, Dylan Lewis, Ross Moriarty, Jack Morgan, and then the backs options of Kieran Hardy, Anscombe, and Louis Rees-Zammit. Just quickly on that team then, what is your assessment of that side, and do you think this team is strong enough to go and beat France? You're muted.
There we go. I think we've picked a team that we can go toe-to-toe with France, and I think that's the important thing, is that we're not going to take a step back. We're not going to try and play them at their own game. We are going to fight fire with fire, and we're going to try and do as much as we can on our own terms. Couple of selections that, we talked about yesterday, and we won't really go through those now. But I think ultimately we've picked, out of the squad that we've got available at the moment, probably the best 15 that we've got available. Like you said, a couple of question marks, but ultimately we've got a side that can go out there tonight, and if we play to our full abilities, we can cause France some problems. They're not the perfect side that everybody makes them out to be. They do make mistakes, and Ireland showed that with the tries that they scored. But we've got to be on the money, and we've got to be switched on and ready for what the challenge is going to bring. So it's going to be a tough 80 minutes. But I think if we stick to what we do best, I think we can get a result out of this. Might not be the victory, but I think we can certainly come close.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tough old game. Both teams are out on the pitch, so we'll quickly go through the French side, and we'll chat maybe about one or two of their players. So starting at fullback, Melvin Jaminet starts at fullback with Malfuena on the wing. Villiers comes back in. Damien Penaud is out with COVID. Danty and Ficou play in the centres with Antoine Dupont and Ntamack at 9 and 10. In the front row, you've got Bailly, Marchand and Antonio. Antonio is... let's just say he's not a little guy, is he? You got Woki in the locks alongside Paul Villams, and then you got Cross, Yelong, and Gregory Alduit playing at 8, leaving a bench of Malvaca, Gross, Hawass, Flemon, and Cretan. And then in the back, you got Luku, Ramos, and Labelle. The big word that really sticks out to me with this French side is power. Do you think that's the big thing they're going to bring to this game?
Yeah, definitely. And whenever I see Willems in the second row, he's not your conventional second row. You look at the likes of James Ryan, Adam Beard, Maro Itoje, that sort of like slender, slight appearance, ready to be thrown up in the line-out and to get themselves into those positions. He's an absolute Trojan, and I think he'll tackle anything that moves for the entirety of the time he's on the pitch. But for me, like looking at that pack, my standout from there, probably robbed of man of the match a few weeks ago, is Gregory Alldritt. The amount of work that man gets through is unbelievable, and he sets that platform so often for Dupont and Ntamack to get their game going. He's absolutely incredible, and we'll certainly have to shut him down early tonight to avoid breaking that game line early and putting us on the back foot. So yeah, lots of big, powerful men, but there's plenty of powerful guys on the Welsh side as well. So let's hope we can fight fire with fire, and there'll be some sparks tonight, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. We just had a moment on the just before kickoff here where they've just shown their respects, obviously, and support for the people of Ukraine. And myself and Ben obviously echo those thoughts, and we stand with them. Let's go through some of your comments. Great to see so many of you. I'm ready on the piss, waiting for kickoff starting early. Love that. Come on, Wales. Hello to you, Richard. Hello, Luke. Hope you're doing well. Kickoff is literally around the corner. La Masia is ringing around the Principality. Good evening. Hope you're doing well, Gavin. Who else have we got in here? Gaspard is a Frenchman. Bonjour. Hope you are doing well. That's about as far as my French goes, unfortunately. Brandon, please sort the. I've had a few complaints about the music. We'll try and sort it out for tomorrow. We're doing watch longs for tomorrow's game, of course. Gavin thinks it's a bad move, doing it on a Friday night. James just got down to the pub, 5 on, Guinness on, Lashing Rain and rugby on. Favourite time of the year, absolutely. And I think this will be a close game. I think it's going to be closer than people have made out. Before we give our predictions then, there are 2 players for France who obviously are getting the headlines at the minute, and it's these 2 guys, Dupont and Ntamack. Dupont, for me, is the best player in the world. I think he's levels above anyone else, but I don't think Ntamack is too far behind him. I think he's really pushed on over the last year or so and is one of the best 10s in the world. How important is it for us to be able to at least keep them quiet for, I'd say it's important for at least the first 20 minutes that we settle into the game.
Yeah, I think ultimately you're not going to stop them doing what they do best, and that is controlling rugby matches, get into those positions where they can control and dictate the pace and the tempo the games are played at. One thing I think we can do is to certainly disrupt, and I think that if we can get inside that channel between 9 and 10, if we can send, Seb Davis is on the pitch for a reason. He is rapid out of that defensive line. If he can get there and he can put pressure onto that 9-10 channel and that axis, then things around them will start to unfold a little bit there. Ficou will be forced to stand in a lot more and take that first receiver role that he is often known for doing to try and free him to mark up. But I certainly think that with enough pressure, we can get inside their heads and we can start to put that pressure on. And with the Cardiff fans that are there, we're singing a boy on, there's always that element as well. That will inspire the boys as well, even if they feel like they're on their arses and they can't even get up for the next tackle. I think that will always give them that little spur on. So, yeah, they are excellent. There's no 2 ways about it. But they're just 9 and 10. Any 9 and 10 in the world can do what they do on form.
Yeah, and with a platform as well, isn't it? That's the thing. If they have the platform, they'll be able to play. It's on BBC Sport in the UK, and also it's on S4C. So if you have a free VPN, which you can easily get and download, you can watch it there. Dupont is certainly the best scrum half in the world. We're about to kick off. Just to remind you, we're not able to show you the game because of copyright. It's just a watch along, but get involved in the chat, subscribe, leave a like, and I'll drop a link to Ben's channel during the course of the stream as well. Ben, finally then, your predictions for this one. Has it changed from the preview?
It has, actually, because one simple factor, the Welsh weather has done us true and proud, and it's absolutely piddling down. So I think it'll be more of an arm wrestle than we were expecting. So it's certainly going to be one of those things that the ball on the floor is going to be key. And if we can try and keep that as contestable as possible, then it could be a really, really tight game. But yeah, it's come down a bit now. I still think France will take it, but I think it's only going to be by sort of 3 to 5 points.
Yeah, I think I said France by 6, and I'm going to stick by that. I'm really interested to see how aggressive we played the first 20 minutes. I think it's important that France don't settle into the game. Let's quickly get through your comments just before kickoff. Then I've hidden the garlic and baguette. Garlic was easy, but I won't tell you where I've shoved the baguette. Jesus. Let's hope the Dragons' breath finds the French. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, unfortunately, can't show you the game. We'll try and keep you up to date throughout the course of the match. And Wales must start France of the ball to have any chance. I think we've just got to, in the opening 20 minutes, I've said it so many times, but it's so important. Opening 20 minutes, we've got to be brave. We've got to go for it, but we've got to be sensible as well. Take our kicks when we get a chance. And I still firmly believe that France have this ability to implode. It's still in their DNA. I mean, I actually think it's just a French thing, if I'm being totally honest, because we saw with PSG against Real Madrid in the football, obviously, how that happened. But we'll have to wait and see. But we're ready for kickoff anyway, down at the Principality. Massive game to kick off.
Has it kicked off for you yet?
Not quite yet, no.
That's all right, because I thought I was behind them when you were talking about it. And I remember last time we did one of these, you were cheering like a minute before I was. So we'll have that now again. No, they're just going through the French team on mine now.
Okay, I think you're a tiny bit behind me then.
That's all right. I can take a tiny bit.
Yeah, we've just kicked off here. Roman and Smack has just kicked us off. Matthew Carley is the referee. So he is the man in the middle, the Englishman. So we'll see how he controls the game.
I don't mind Matthew Carley. I think he is a fair referee. I think if anybody's watched Squidge Rugby's review of the Wales-England game for last week, I think the standard of officiating in this Six Nations so far has been absolutely dreadful, and much to the fact that he pinned how many times England infringed at the line out against us a few weeks ago. It wasn't something that particularly bothered me, but every line out with one particular touch judge, won't mention his name because I'm not going to slander anyone, but with one of the linesmen, he every time they knew that they could close the gap and there wouldn't be a problem. So I still haven't kicked off on mine.
Right, okay. You are quite far behind.
Why am I so far behind?
Are you watching it through the internet?
I'm watching it through iPlayer.
Right, that's why then. Okay.
You're watching it on terrestrial.
I could switch over to iPlayer.
Just because now, 3, 2, 1. Now he's just kicked off.
Okay, give me a second. I'll switch over to iPlayer. France actually have a penalty here. It's Yamine who's going to step up, but I'll switch over to iPlayer. Give me a sec.
No worries, bud. Sorry about that. Got to be careful tonight, kicking the ball loose to the French. Jamine's just made an easy 5 or 10 meters there with little resistance from the Welsh defence, but strong around the middle of the park. You certainly see the tactic so far is to just punch their own holes rather than looking for them. Big men target in the middle of the pitch early on. Oh, nice little snipe by Dupont.
Well, we knew there was a penalty for Jaminet, but we haven't seen what happened yet.
They've just blown for the penalty now.
So I'll just get this.
But yeah, early stage, you can see exactly what they're trying to do. They're going to send big men up the middle. They're going to try and pin us onto the floor and try and create overlaps out wide. The defense stood pretty well then, but Navidi goes in for the turnover, and I can't quite see who it was that didn't get out of the way. I think it might have been Rowlands that didn't roll away.
We were caught a lot of the breakdown against England last week. I felt like England were pretty good at trapping us in there. And obviously, you know, part of you is like really frustrated by that. But at the end of the day, it's a good tactic if you can trap it. I thought Moriarty got caught in there so much last week.
That's the one thing. It's a really weird one because if a team does it to you, you get really frustrated.
Yeah.
But if your team is playing and it happens, you don't feel so frustrated. But this pinning players in, I really do dislike it. Yeah. Always tight. Oh, 3-0 France.
3-0. There we go.
So what's your clock saying now?
I'm just loading iPlayer up now.
Oh, sorry, bud.
Shouldn't be too long.
Yeah, three points for France within the first 2 minutes. Oh, the lights are on. The lights are on. The strip lights are on. Why are they blue? Make them red. Your LEDs. Put your LEDs red, man.
I think it gives pretty bad reflection. Let's have a look. Oh, you can't really see it, but there you go. Right, I should.
Blue.
I should. Right, let's have a look what minute we're on here. I'm on 3 minutes 25.
Oh, there we are. I'm on 3 minutes, so only 20-second difference. Take that.
Okay, cool. So you may not know this, but Wales have a penalty.
Oh.
On the French 10-meter line, and Big has pointed to the post. So
I think this is exactly what we needed to do, though, is to make sure we take points when they're available. Yeah, you've got to take points when they're available. You know, Marcus Smith. I know Marcus Smith didn't make the decisions, but England pretty much showed a masterclass on how to do that in the early stages against us. Yeah. You know, penalty, take the points, and it just puts pressure on the side. Then you know, obviously, we're going to be receiving kickoff now, so it's just a chance to clear our lines from this penalty. Should it go over?
Yeah. Dupont penalised there for being the blocker. So
yeah. I was watching the highlights of Northampton's game last week and how Bigger played in that one. And he's starting to play a lot flatter to the line.
Yeah.
And hopefully that's something that we'll start to see as the game goes on. Yeah, clear obstruction there. I think it's Jalanche comes across the front of Aldrit and blocks him off there from the relatively decent competition.
And Bigger slots it beautifully. Well, just about through the post. So Wales back equal, just about to. But there we are. Wales on the scoreboard. I mean, we haven't seen us with any ball in hand yet, so I'm really intrigued to see how we do approach this one. Close. France nearly turning it over outside the Wales 22. Thomas Williams will clear this one. Can't kick it to touch.
Well, we talked about this. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago with us. I think that, you know, the selection of Bigger, yes, he's our captain, but I think that his selection says one thing and one thing only. One of our biggest game plan strategies is to kick the leather off the ball during the game. Yeah. And, you know, first chance we saw there, straight into the air and try and compete for it. So fingers crossed, that's not our only option that we have.
Yeah. I think it raises a bigger question, though, as France have just knocked it on through Aldrit on the halfway line. I think it raises a bigger question about fly halves in Wales. Obviously, we've had the situation with Anscombe where he was injured, then had a setback. He's slowly coming back to playing now, but he really hasn't played all that much. Priestland, who I thought started the season really well, got an injury. Jared Evans, who started the season well, then got an injury, but he's come back now. And apart from that, I mean, Patchell has come back for the Scarlets as well, and he played really well last week, I thought, against Glasgow. But I don't really feel like there's anyone truly knocking out the door of Dan Bigger. And certainly there's nobody knocking out the door of Thomas Williams at 9. And that's not particularly a bad thing, because I think Thomas Williams is a fantastic scrum half, really speeds the game up, loves those sniping runs. Reminds me of Reece Webb, maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, maybe even more than that, before he went to Toulon, where he was just carving it up. But Reece Webb's the most frustrating player to watch now playing for the Ospreys. So slow to get the ball out.
I was just going to say, the deliberate slowing the ball down is what really gets me about Reece Webb at the minute. I was watching him against Zebra last week, and so many times the ball's at the base, and you just go, right, get it out. And he goes in, and he turns himself the opposite way, and then he's calling people into positions. It's like, oh my gosh, man, just get the ball out and just play.
Yeah,
I think he overthinks it too much.
Rugby, you win. Quick ball in rugby and you win.
Yeah.
Wales penalised at the scrum there. Thomas Williams, think, penalised for not putting it in straight.
Oh,
I want to say.
Well, we're losing about 9 kilos in the scrum, which is not a bigger deficit as I thought it was going to be. But yeah, that's not a straight feed. What you could see from the position his hands are in, that's nowhere near as straight.
And usually that's not actually picked up by the referees. France have decided to go with the scrum. Actually, I've got an idea. Can I do this? If you let me know when you get up to 7 minutes, and I'll click play from there.
Good thinking, Batman. Good thinking, Batman. Right, so I'm on 6:28 at the minute. Okay. So if I give you a 5-second countdown,
that's fine. I've paused on 6:59.
You're on 6:59, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So 40. Okay. 50, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
There we go. So it's France scrum,
Yep.
Perfect. So Dupont, strong scrum from France, absolutely destroyed us.
I'm really impressed by Matthew Carley there, because usually referees see a scrum going back and penalise the opposition straight away. If the ball is there to get away, then fantastic. Why penalise the side if it's there to be played?
Yeah.
Well done, Matthew Carley.
I mean, we'll take that every day, because that scrum was going. Kick from Bigger. Why are we kicking like that? And to Max spots the space. Come on, Liam, have a run.
No chance, mate. This is the thing. If we're going to kick open to France, it's got to be an open kick with pressure on. Like Chamonix's got a good 3 or 4 seconds.
Too easy. Villiers in space.
Good tackle there by Thomas Williams, but he's still on his feet. Huge hit. Momentum killer in midfield.
Wide quickly. Bailly. Good hands. Here comes Dante. Haven't mentioned him yet today.
Another tackle from Thomas Williams. Great defence.
I think he's taken a knock there.
He can't even get up. That's a HIA, I'm telling you now.
We need to watch him here, because if the play gets too close to him here.
Is it a shoulder or is it a hit?
I think Thomas Williams is back up, but I think
he is back up. But I was watching him scrambling to get up then. I don't know whether it was because he couldn't put enough pressure on the floor to get, to lift himself up.
Good hands here, Jaminet, and Yalonk is going to cross, and it really is as easy as that, and it's a try for France, and it really isn't the start that Wales would have wanted. Cadaquain, I hope you're doing well. Stephen, good to see you. Help the Irish out. Well, it doesn't look particularly good at the minute, but France do take the lead. Anthony Yalonk with his second try for France, and it really was simply just going through the hands. But we said before, and you especially said, we can't kick loosely to France, and we kicked loosely to them 3 or 4 times there. It looks like Thomas Williams is going to go off. We kicked loosely. Jaminet had all the time in the world. Liam Williams has burst out, meant Thomas Williams has to cover all of that space on his own pretty much. And he does well to get something on Villiers, but, Ficou here, simple pass.
It's just simple hands then. Cuthbert, he's done as much as he can there, Cuthbert. He's been put in a horrible position there where he's had to choose which man to go to. He's bought in way too hard on Ficou, though. Ficou was covered by Seb Davis, so he could have held his line a little bit longer. But You know, and that's as easy as it comes. Simple, simple hands across the line, draw and give, and that's the first try of the night for the French. So hopefully that's the kick up the backside Wales need now.
And Jaminet adds the 2, very comfortable for him. I mean, as I said, just kicking loosely, and you just can't afford it. It's like kicking loosely to the All Blacks. You just don't do it, unless you're going to really put it into their 22 and get the distance on it. And we saw it last week. Scotland kicked loosely to Dupont, and he ran around half their team. But 10 points to 3, 10 minutes gone. France are looking good. They are sacre bleu. This could get messy. I think the next score is so important. Really, really important, even if it's a penalty for us. Kieran Hardy has come on for Thomas Williams. We believe it's a HIA.
I would be very surprised if we see him again this game.
Yeah, me too. I think that's probably it.
Let's keep fingers crossed that it's nothing serious, but well done to the team to get him off as quickly as they could.
I don't think they could have got away with it this week with what happened a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, they were going to be scrutinised, whatever. Yeah. Liam Williams goes to the air again.
Better kick, though.
Bit more of a chase. But the French retreating defenders, they're doing really well at sort of blocking that running line, and they're allowed to hold their line, which is fine. But they're doing a really, really good job of stopping that attacking run through. But yeah, our kicking strategy so far has just been loose and don't really know what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I think
all the time in the world there to send one back.
Yeah, and that's not a bad kick from him getting the distance on it. We're just kicking it straight into French hands.
Especially with the new rule in now that if it goes over, it's not a 22 dropout now. It's an under the post dropout. So I think sides are a little bit more caution to the wind. Like if it does go past the try line, then it's not a big issue because it's proper rugby league style now, out from under your own sticks. But yeah,
I would rather just see us pick up the ball, have a run. You get tackled on their halfway line, on your own 10-metre line. You recycle the ball and just go again.
Yeah, and we've got enough players coming back. It's not going to be a situation like we're going to become isolated. We're not running away from support. We're actually running closer to support. Oh, gee wept.
Yeah, Thomas Williams.
If there's any kids watching this stream tonight, do not tackle like that. Put your head on the soft bit. Stick it on his arse. Don't put it on his knee.
It reminds me of, do you remember Lee Halfpenny's tackle against Italy a few years ago where he was just head straight to the knee and he just went down like a sack of potatoes. Line out here to France on Wales' 10-metre line. Wales tried to
pressure from Will Rowlands there.
Whose hand did that come off? That's the question.
Giving a knock on.
I think it's a Wales line out. Oh, I think he's given the knock on. Dupont's going to get it.
Oh, excuse me.
So scrum to France. Last scrum wasn't pretty for Wales. Credit to France. They're white hot. They look pretty serious at this point. But again, game management and understanding what to do and to just, again, it's opening 12 minutes. You don't have to do silly things. You just keep it simple, go through a few phases, let everyone have a touch of the ball, let everyone go into contact.
This is exactly the same thing that happened in the Scotland game last week. France went out like a rat up a drain pipe in the first few minutes, but then Scotland found a way into the game, and I think Wales have just got to keep that hope that that this isn't going to be a runaway. That's a solid setup there. Well done, Wales.
Much better. France using the wraparound. Oh, Villiers into so much space. Ball out wide. Good hands into Marofrena. Back inside to Jaminet. He's kept it alive. Dupont picks it up just outside the 22. Decent cover.
Good counteract from Kieran Hardy, but Aldrit manages to pick him up.
Okay, get back into shape now. Ball's slowed down for France here.
It was just too easy to get to the outside, though, wasn't it?
Just 2 wraparounds, wasn't it? And they were in. Oh, knocked on by Marofrena. And in the end, decent defence, except for the first set off the scrum.
Yeah.
It's really simple. Dupont, the wraparound, very similar to what Sexton does with Ireland all the time. Very, very similar.
If you look at that wraparound there, and you look at it from the aerial shot they're showing now, I really don't know who Owen Watkin was actually marking there, because his man didn't get involved in any of those wraparounds whatsoever. I don't know who he was trying to target there.
Yeah. What do you make of Jonathan Davis in the centre? How do you feel about that? Because since the team announcement, I've actually grown in the idea of him starting in this game. How do you feel?
I think the biggest difficulty we had was Tompkins out. Halaholo's had some game time back. You know, he's still in the squad. He hasn't travelled to South Africa with the Cardiff team, so he is in and amongst the squad. But he's been in camp from the first week, and maybe he was like the obvious option. But yeah, I think he'll certainly, and I say after we've just been done so easily on the outside, but he will add that defensive solidity. But yeah, it's one of those that on his game, I know that he's probably one of the best centres in the world, and he certainly has proven that. The 2017 tour to New Zealand with the Lions, man of the series, he was excellent there. A few years earlier in 2013 in Australia, he was even better again. So it's he's a class player, but he's just had so much bad luck with injuries. It's just been one of those things, hasn't it? But as we say that, Cuthbert, on a mad one on the outside. Great Faletau tackle.
Lovely. And he was colossus last week. And penalty to Wales. Lovely.
That's what it is. But like, that's the first time we've actually done something off first phase ball. Is attack to the outside. Managed to put Cuthbert in space really easily there from a simple 3-man set up to the right of the scrum there. And imagine we'll take points here because the forwards don't exactly seem raring to go for a line out. So I'd imagine we'll close the gap here now. But after France's early attacking dominance, I'd say that's pretty decent result if we take the 3.
And that's the thing. We've seen this with France over the course of the Six Nations. Like against Ireland, they went and scored a try, and then straight from kickoff, Mac Hansen runs through and scores. So it seems like their concentration levels aren't always 100%. Karma Peach, hope you're doing well. Ray, thanks for the update. But don't put those in the chat just so that it doesn't spoil it for us, but also there'll be others watching who unfortunately may not have a stream and will be relying on us. So get the excitement. And I love the fact that we just got that penalty, but try to keep it away from the chat. Wales 6 then, France 10. 16 minutes gone. How do you assess the first 16 minutes? Tough start, but we slowly grown into the game a little bit.
Yeah, and again, I think it comes down to the fact that we are notoriously slow starters, and you just can't afford to do it against the best sides in the world. So fingers crossed now. We realise, we are in a game, and we can just start to build things like that just now. We had one attack, and we managed to put a man in space. So let's just try and keep that momentum up now. The kicking game for me has got to be tighter. We are kicking far too much loose ball to the French and just inviting them to come back at us. But, like this one now, there's probably a good 10 metres before Jaminet's got to actually make a decision.
Yeah. And you look at the kick from Jaminet. Hardy takes it really well, but it's very competitive. And, I'm so glad that Penaud isn't playing today because he would absolutely love this. Although Malfuena, obviously, is not a bad player himself, or Villiers. But we got to just be a bit more competitive in the air, and we've got to, if you're going to kick, you just make it competitive, or at least get a good distance on it, and everyone push up together. But line out to France on the Welsh 10-metre line.
I think we've looked to compete in the line out early on, which was something that surprised me, because I thought that we'd have that thing in the back of our heads that the French are going to bring this strong driving line out, and so far we've seemed to have gone, if we can pinch the ball off you and we're up again to compete. So, that's something positive to see. But I just want to see, obviously, something come off as a result of it now. We want to actually win a line out rather than just disrupt.
Yeah, definitely. France here just outside the 22. The leg drive on Dupont is ridiculous there.
Off. Navidi stopped away by Villanza.
Yeah, Dupont, Bailly. It makes half a break into Dante. Good tackle by Watkin. There's a bit of space on the left-hand side here. Brilliant tackle that was from whoever that was on Dupont.
I think it was Gareth Thomas, but he's holding his head now.
Gareth Thomas is down here holding his head. So Wales having to deal with some injuries early on. You've got to stop the play, ref.
Yeah,
if he's
it's
down like that,
yeah.
there we go, stopped it. Yeah, this will probably be another HIA, I think.
It's got to be. I mean, the fact he held his head as soon as it happened.
Yeah.
It's a great tackle, though.
He's headbutted Dupont's knee. It's a brilliant tackle because if Dupont gets that pass away, he probably goes in the corner. But he's headbutted his knee again.
Just get him off. I just don't see why they're making a fuss here. Just get him off, even if it is something that he can come straight back on. You can see he's made contact with another player's knee. Yeah, I tell you what, though, I'm just looking in the background. Jamine's looking really shaky at the minute. I don't know what's happened.
He took a knock earlier on as well, I'm pretty sure, and he was walking very shakily. So, I mean, the rule with World Rugby, because I spoke to a former player who had to retire because of concussion. The rule is if there's any suspicion of potential concussion, players got to go off and have a HIA. That's the law. You just got to go off and have a HIA. If you pass it within those 10 minutes or 7 minutes or whatever it is, then that's fine. You can come back on. But if you don't, you can't come back on. And that's just how it is. And we've seen incidences. Gareth Thomas is going off.
But this just says replacement. There's no, It doesn't say head injury assessment.
So we'll have to wait and see. Wyn Jones is on.
We still haven't heard anything about Thomas Williams' HIA.
No. I can't see him coming back on the way he went down and the way he stumbled to get up. So it's going to be a scrum here to Wales, just inside of own 22. I mean, you just want a clean exit here. Maybe a Faletau peeling off the back. No, it's probably a bit too risky. I don't know. Rolling
that's the thing that you don't seem to see, though, in the games that France have played so far. Ntamack very rarely gets tested defensively. Very rarely will you see someone running straight down his channel. I don't know why it happens, but it just doesn't seem to happen that people challenge him in terms of defense, and maybe that's something we could look to do. Maybe not when we're in our own 22, but certainly later in the game, like a midfield scrum. Just send Faletau or send Navidi straight into him and see what happens, because it's things like that are going to start to disrupt the French game, slowing them down at ruck time, sending them backwards off first phase ball. It's those sorts of things we need to really be mindful of.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I mean, if you can isolate him, especially ensure that he doesn't have the support of someone like a Dante next to him who's going to help him with the tackling.
I will say, Antonio, for the size that he is and for the credit he gets for his scrummaging, he's gone down like a sack of spuds at that scrum there. Made no attempt whatsoever to keep his feet.
Yeah.
But if you remember a few years back,
brilliant kick. Is he outside his own 22? Oh no. Well, France, Ntamack decides to play on and kicks it straight off. So line out to Wales here.
Yeah, that's a big territorial gain for Wales there. I don't know what happened then. Yeah, hang on. Yeah, I thought it was 50-22.
Yeah, 50-22, that. Or has Ntamack not taken the thing right?
Oh.
He's taken it all the way back.
He's taken the throw right? Because it didn't bounce, did it? It just went straight off the field.
No,
so
I think Ntamack might have taken the throw wrong. Oh, no, if it is a 50-22, So line out here to Wales.
Huge opportunity to build some pressure.
Driving maul, I think here, the driving maul so far has been really successful for us, but we've got to win the ball, which we do. We get it out straight away. Bigger into Faletau. There you go, Faletau running out into Ntamack.
Someone must be watching the stream.
Why is Hardy kicking it? Did we have the advantage?
What on earth was that?
Why would we kick? First time we've had possession.
Sorry, mate. Hang on. I've got to have a look by here because I think Faf de Klerk must be playing. Hang on. No Faf de Klerk in the Welsh side. What was that all about?
So, first time we've had proper possession in the French 22, and Kieran Hardy has just sent it up in the air as if he's just box kicking it. When there's options left and right, it's been knocked on by us, I think.
Are they looking at it on the TMO? Because
it's obviously a training ground move, but what a stupid move for a first time in the 22. I think that's been knocked on by Liam Williams, and Villiers been taken down.
But that's so annoying. That's so frustrating. That's an opportunity from nowhere, and we feel that the best option is to put a box kick up.
And then penalty out the scrum. I mean, honestly, just go through a few phases. If after 5-6 phases nothing is on, all right, try something. Not off the first phase.
That's ridiculous.
Like, what is the point in that? I mean, honestly,
you've got to take your chance. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to process what's just happened. You've got to take your chances. This is international rugby. This is not, Scarlets against Edinburgh in the URC. This is an international game, a test match, and that's the only option you feel you've got to play. If that is something they've worked on the training ground, I want to see what it looks like when it works.
Yeah,
because
it works.
Because we haven't got, like, Liam Williams is good under a high ball, but he's not someone that goes climbing up for a high ball. So
he's not a Lee Byrne, is he?
That's really, really annoying.
But really waste.
Let's put it now.
Yeah, it's just a waste there. Oh, we do steal the line out though.
Well,
runs hard at Untermark. Right, don't click this one away, fellas. Hold on to it.
Someone has got the BS Rugby stream on in the Welsh management box, mate. Someone's listening to me. If there is somebody watching, all job posts to be sent to Rock and Roll Rugby's Facebook, Twitter, all of the above.
Oh, Watkin. He's... Ooh.
Oh, it has bounced. It has bounced.
I thought for a second there that I had, and I was like... I mean, I don't mind the kick because we've gone through a few phases there. It's slowed down a bit. There's a bit of spacing behind. I don't mind that. I'm just about reaching touch.
We obviously see that there is a weakness in the French line-out. And, we just pinched the line-out. Perhaps they're going to go for the same again there. But that's superb from Will Rowlands. He gets up underneath Walkie's arm. And it's front foot ball for us then. But that's the beauty of Seb Davis as well. It's an extra option to just throw him up.
France do come away with the ball. We'll have a look at your comments in just a second, folks. 25 minutes gone. France still leading by 10 points to 6. As Antoine Dupont will clear this one downfield.
But again, similarly to the Scotland game, there was that initial mad rush from the French. But then all of a sudden then, the Scots start to find a way back into the game. This is our opportunity now. This is where we get our chance to get back into the game. And through whatever means it is. But these loose kicks, man.
Liam Williams put 2 or 3 just so loosely, and almost France getting a 22 there, but Bigger has now had to cover Liam Williams. Is that going to go all the way? Might do. I think it is.
It's going. It's going. Yes.
Absolutely brilliant. Love to see that. Right, let's have a look at some of your comments. Wales need to slow the French ruck speed. I think we've managed to do that over the last few minutes. Good to see you found a Gillette. It had to go. It was time for it to go. George North incident when he was out cold for the Welsh one was a good example of the concussion not working. Absolutely agree. I think that Ireland did a good job of dragging France's energy levels down the last round. Could Wales do the same? I don't know. I mean, I would like to see us just hold on to the ball a little bit more, because when we've had the ball, France have looked a little bit all over the place in some areas, but we just haven't held on to it enough. And with these loose kicks, so loose. How's the game going, fellas? Not watching tonight. France starting really, really strongly. Again, an early try. Wales are settled into it, but not looking after the possession well enough. Yeah. But only 6 points to 10 down, heading towards the half an hour mark. It's not too bad, honestly. But next score, I think, is so important for us. And we've struggled at the scrum. Can we get this one out? Decent scrum here. Hardy gets it out. Puts in the kick again. Is that going to work, though?
Oh, so close. It just wouldn't sit up for Cuthbert.
It's not a bad idea, but I'm surprised at how much we are kicking, whether we're worried that we're not going to get over the gain line when we go up against this French side, or we see them rushing up in the blitz defense and we think we can get in behind them.
It is a simple strategy, and you play it right from young age rugby of that. they can't score tries from their own 22. And the more time that we keep them pinned down there and the more pressure we put on them, the likelihood is they're going to make mistakes. But I just feel we're going to that option far too soon.
Wales penalised for closing the gap at the line out, so a chance for France to clear it again. Really easy penalties. It does feel like we're just trying to contain France at the minute instead of trying to control the game. I'd rather see us just try and control, even if it is simply just go through 5-6 phases, nothing happens, kick. I don't care. I just want to see us go through a few phases.
Now, see, Wales were penalised there for something that England did on one side of the pitch for 80 minutes last week, closing the gap.
Yeah, Mike Adamson, he wasn't my best mate after that game, let's just say. So nearly half an hour gone, line out to Wales. Kieran
Hardy was not ready for that at all.
Paul Blowns, but gone forward, so chance here for Wales. Owen Watkin steps inside, good tackle on him by Untamak.
Good clear out. Dante was sniffing then, ready for the turnover.
Passing. Someone jump on it. Faletau.
Again, Faletau digs us out of the crap.
Yeah. Oh, someone just needs to take responsibility there. Just jump on the ball.
Oh, come on.
I thought that came off his leg. I was convinced that came off his leg. I forgot his name now, but not Mike Adamson, whatever his name is.
Matthew Carley.
Yeah, Carley has, they're just called up there, saying gone forward. I thought it came off his leg, but again, we just seem very rushed. We just need to relax. Oh, yeah, it has actually come off his hands. That's a good spot, but
we seem so cagey at the moment, like.
Yeah. We don't seem comfortable to just hold on to possession, be comfortable with possession. I feel like we're trying to force it. We're so worried about where we are on the pitch, thinking, oh, France turn this over. You know, we're in danger here because they're, 40 metres out. Instead of worrying about what we're doing, we're worrying about what France are going to do. And yeah, it's been an odd first half. I mean, France.
Yeah, he's not holding his weight at all, Antonio. He's not holding his weight at all.
Finally, Wales get a penalty at the scrum.
Well, it's only a free kick, so this is going straight up to the stars. Oh, it's going for the spiral bomb.
And old Dreets will have time on that. Oh, has he knocked it on? So chance here.
No, scrum. No. Here we go. Right. I mean, this is what I'm talking about.
Please don't kick it. If this goes back to Big and he sends this up, I swear I'll lose it.
He's had a pretty shaky start, Aldridge. That's a couple of knock-ons now from high balls. I know the spiral bomb is something that's particularly difficult to defuse, but he has not had a good start under the high ball. No. Navidi's there again.
Comments. Scotland's flaws, they kicked far less than usual versus France. Hi, Dan, by the way. Hope you're doing okay. It looks like Wales are spotted down on kicking for possession, trying to make France play in their own half. I don't mind the tactic to an extent, but when that is your only tactic, it's just a containment. There's going to be a moment where France are able to break through us. It's like Jamne had so much space to run, and that's what breaks us up. I love the Welsh accent. I think he's talking about me. Nearly as lovely as a Irish one. So Wales scrum.
The Welsh accent is. Didn't they win a poll or something? It's one of the most friendly accents in the UK.
I think the Scouts would have won it.
Oh,
ball out here to Cuthbert, though. Wales don't kick it.
Kick the ball.
What about the Brummy one? Well, it sounds like everything they ask is a question.
No, but the thing with Brummy as well is that it's like everything just seems really chirpy. Like I couldn't imagine being a policeman trying to deliver bad news that, someone's dog had been run over. If you were Brummy, oh, I'm really sorry. Your dog's been run over. You'd laugh first before you listen to it. And
Wales penalised at the breakdown. I think Dante's got the turnover there. And again, just the ball, when it's being presented, seems to bounce off legs. It goes everywhere. Kieran Hardy can't seem to get a decent grip on the ball. And again, a really odd first half. France have been very comfortable. They haven't really created all that much in the last 15 odd minutes. And for us, I mean, when we have carried it, I mean, Adam Beard needs a lot more support there. I don't know why he's holding on to it either. He needs to just be placing that back. But
I think someone needs to have a word with Adam Beard as well and tell him that he's not 20 stone. Like, you know, he goes running into these tackles and he's running in upright. He's not even trying to turn. It's like, mate, you've got to realise that you're packing quite less of a punch than your opposite number. Wow. Gareth Thomas.
Well, it's obvious to see now that no Thomas Williams, but Gareth Thomas has passed his HIA, so Wyn Jones goes back off.
I'll be honest, mate, I'm pretty glad of that because the scrum looked really shaky with Wyn Jones on.
Yeah. What's happened to Wyn Jones? Because a year ago, we were talking about him as one of the best in the world in his position. Like, he's going to start for the Lions. And just over the last 6 months, I feel like, I don't know, he's just not gone stale, but just very...
There was an article I read a few weeks back talking about the post-Lions factor and how many players from the actual Lions tour are still on form. And they were saying, you know, Louis Rees-Zammit is still doing what he does best in the Prem. There was a couple of others as well. But they said that it's like there's so many players that have been completely off the boil since coming back from South Africa. What on earth is that?
Honestly, just play it simply. I know we've spoken about we're kicking loosely and stuff like that, but when you're in your own 22 against France, just simple. Just play it simple. I know we want to play this expansive style, but we're just not there yet. We're just not there. Honestly. But France here with the ball just inside the Wales half. About 6 minutes to go until half time. Bailly comes in. Good hands from... Oh, as I say that, they drop it. Ball goes back. Go on, Josh Adams. Nail him.
Oh, Owen Watkins. Superb work.
Is Ryan Elias over that? No, ball's there. Good pressure from Adam Beard. Good pressure here on France.
Right, keep Dupont quiet. That's it. Oh my God.
He just bounces Navidi off as if he's not even there and gets the lovely offload to Marafuena and Faletau trying to keep up with him. Brilliant tackle from Liam Williams.
Down on it.
Honestly, we are blowing. Absolutely blowing there. Again, for Dupont, for his size, the amount of strength that he has just to bounce players off and find the gap.
He just pushed Navidi away there. Oh, let's go.
Why are you kicking it?
Let's go, come on.
Come on, quick chance. Why have we gone to the right? Oh, I thought Adam Beard was going to kick it there. Oh, lovely. This is all over the place for the minute.
This is just so... This is just wanting France to destroy us here.
Yeah.
Let's just keep it open. My Christ, this could be a cricket score if we want to play like this.
It's like sevens rugby. Back and forth, back and forth. France,
I think all the players are absolutely blowing there. They're like, quick, get it off the pitch, please.
Max sends it down. Time for Josh Adams.
Have a run.
And he's going to kick it. And just time, so much time for Mac, who sends it back down as well.
Again, looking for space. That's the biggest thing with the French kicking game is they're just looking for space every time.
Yeah. And we just kick it. Better kick from Bigger, looking for the space. Much better kick from Dan Bigger. Yeah. That'll be a 50-22. That's, you know, if we're going to kick, that's what we've got to be doing. Not kicking straight to them, just trying to find the space. Even if it bounces a bit. You know, it doesn't matter. So, chance just before the end of the first half here for Wales. 4 minutes to go until half-time. Lovely kick from Dan Bigg, who spotted the space. And I think it's Jaminet couldn't quite get there. So, line out,
Yes, that's it. Get a crowd going.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what he needs. That's just one spark. And let's just hope the boys repay it now, because last time we certainly bloody didn't.
Yeah. I think we'll go for a driving maul here.
Frenchman on the knee, trying to kill the momentum. Trying to be professional, trying to not mention these sorts of things, but Jesus, what did you say about swearing to me on here yesterday? I'm really, really doing my best at the minute.
Right, yep, driving maul set up. Come on. Looks decent.
Good shape.
Right, back to Ryan Elias. Give the ball to Ryan Elias. He's got it.
That's the thing. You've got these French guys that are coming around the side. They're going to be told to step away.
So Wales get it out. Jonathan Davis. Tackled by Mac. And Max handling that on the floor there. Cuthbert.
Oh, good, Cuthbert. Straight over the top of Dante. That's what we need.
Come on, good quick ball here. Love that. Hardy. Wales edging towards the 5 metre line. Ball is still there.
The ball
though.
isn't clean, though. It's really, really messy.
And
we've got to build again now.
Just be patient here. There's no need to do anything silly. Just be patient. We're in the right area of the pitch. 3 minutes from half time. Good run from Gareth Thomas. You've got to get Bailly off the ball, Marchand. Just about getting him off. Thomas Francis. Good from Wales. Just patient build up here. Advantage.
Advantage.
Not rolling away. All right, now's the time to try something. Penalty for Wales.
I
thought Hardy was going to tap and go. What do we do here?
When
we corner
out there.
Do we corner or we tap and go?
Would you take it to a 1-point game just before half time?
I'd be tempted to go for the corner.
I'll be honest, I'd be tempted with a scrum. Suck him in.
Yeah. What's the decision here?
It's an easy 3.
It's a big call. They're going to take the points.
Big 3.
I can understand that and maybe like them to have been more brave, but in that position, we've been in the 22. We've gone through a few phases. We'll look decent. You just got to get something on the board.
I think ultimately, if you think Big L will try and drag this out for as long as possible now, and once the kick's gone over, ultimately that's going to leave less than a minute to play. Would you take us going in 1 point down against the French at half time? I certainly would, considering how threatening they've been.
Yeah,
we're just not going away. That's the big thing. We're not dropping out of the fight. We're not doing a lot to stay in it, but we're still there, and that's the big important thing at the moment. Is we're still, we're 1 point away. So we'll have one more chance now before half time. Referee stopped the clock for some reason. It's back on now.
Yeah, Bigger gets the penalty. So Wales 9 points to 10 now.
France walking it up to the halfway line. I don't know. This seems a bit strange. I don't know. I think
except for the first 10 minutes, they haven't really done all that much, to be honest, and they haven't had to do much. But it's been an odd game. It's been really, really odd. It's been such an odd game. There have been patches where there's been a lot of kicking. There's been patches where both teams trying to throw the ball around, but it's too scrappy. Nobody can get control on it.
This has got to go for touch. Do not leave it open.
Oh, it's a poor kick, really.
I think
it's time here for Jaminet. Good tackle. Hold him up. Oh, he's been tackled.
He's got one of the best first names ever. He's got a lovely French name, Jaminet. What's his first name? Melvin. Just like what
happened there?
I thought Navidi was in on that.
Oh, and Smack's in the pocket, and it's a woeful drop goal and attempt. And there will be time for Wales, Jaminet, in the pocket there, and that's decent from Wales. Showing that we're frustrating France, that they feel they have to go to that. But
you looked at the French players that were in front of Jaminet there before he took that drop kick. Half time. They just looked like they weren't interested whatsoever in what was going on then. So that's I certainly would say the Wales would be the happier going in at half time.
Yeah, I actually think for the way we've played and for the way we've kicked loosely, maybe a little bit, I think we'll be pretty happy. Again, France definitely have another couple of levels to go to if they want to, and they've shown that in little glimpses here and there. But on the whole, not too bad. Myself and Ben are going to take a quick 2-minute break here on the channel. We'll be back to discuss the first half and then obviously watch the second half. I'm going to drop a link to Ben's channel in the chat. So make sure to head over there and subscribe on Sunday or some day of the weekend. There'll be an in-depth review of this game. So make sure to head over there and subscribe ready for that. Otherwise, we'll see you in 2 seconds. If you need to go for a piss or get a cup of tea or whatever you're doing, now is the time. We'll see you in a second. Don't go anywhere. There we go. We are back. It is half time in this one, and Wales trailing France by just a 1 point. Wales 9, France 10. Half time in this one. Hope everyone is doing well and enjoying the game. Plenty of rugby this weekend. Just before I get Ben back in the chat and getting back on, I just want to point out that tomorrow we're going to be doing this one. Italy against Scotland. Coverage is going to start at 2 o'clock. Kickoff at 2:15. Once this live stream finishes, if you're watching on YouTube, it'll automatically load into that one, so you can set your reminders to that. And then the big one, obviously, this weekend is England against Ireland. We're going to be doing this one as well, so that's going to be going live at about 4:30 with kickoff at 4:45. So make sure to join me for both of them tomorrow, and then obviously on Super Saturday we'll do all 3 games next weekend as well. Let me get Ben back in. Ben, an interesting one. I don't think we'd have really thought that the game would have been going the way it has. I was just listening to Sam Warburton there, and he seemed to think that our kicking game was the best thing since sliced bread. I'm not completely convinced, because I do think we're going to have to do something a little bit more in the second half. But what is your assessment of the first half? Fairly happy so far?
Yeah, I think that we did well. Am I back?
Yes, there you go.
Yeah, there we are. I think we did well to neutralise that initial burst of pressure. You know, Jelonch going over after 9 minutes, that could have spelt real trouble for us. And in the immediate phases after that, I think it looked like that we were in a bit of trouble. Defensively, we looked a little bit disorganised. But ultimately, I think we've confused France. I think they don't really know what to do at the moment. You know, we're playing the kicking game. And I think if France do what any normal side would do, at halftime now, they'll be having a word with each other and saying, look, Wales are finding a lot of space in the backfield with their kicking game. We'll drop 1 or 2 back just to cover that threat when Wales have got ball in hand, which will open spaces up on the pitch later on, like we saw against England. You know, we can exploit those spaces later on in the game. But I think ultimately that's all we've tried to do is frustrate France, and we've done that through our ability to kick deep. I think that the one kick they highlighted just now, Biggers, you know, a 69-metre kick to really relieve the pressure and to pile it back on France. You know, the line-out, we're really pressuring them at the line-out. You know, we a little bit of ill-discipline closing the gap down and sometimes just miss-jumping. But ultimately, line-out's been good. Scrum, whilst Gareth Thomas was off, it looked a little bit shaky, but this French pack will tire. And I think some of them really did look like they were out on their haunches as the halftime whistle went. So we're definitely in a good place going into the second half. Plenty to build on, but like you said, there's a lot that I would still like us to see to improve. You know, the kicking in attacking areas, I don't mind it, but at least try something first. At least go through a few phases to see where that takes you. And ultimately, you know, you may find that we end up with an opportunity to score ourselves. So just read the play a little bit more. I know, obviously, it's a pre-planned strategy, but just play what's in front of you. You know, the French are going to start to tire. They've thrown absolutely everything at us for 40 minutes. And so far, we've come away with it, only conceding the 1 try. So plenty of positives to take into the second half. And let's just hope that they take that impetus now and they really do start to build.
No, I completely agree with you. I think at the start of the game, we were both pretty worried, especially after Jelonch went over in the corner. It was a really, really simple finish for him. And then we were kicking extremely loosely and really, really struggling. But then I think we did begin to dictate the kicking game. Our kicks were deep enough. They were either being able to reach the touchline or, as Biggers showed, with that 50-22. Again, though, I do think against this French team, you do need to score tries. And I do expect that France are going to come out. They'll have a different game plan. They will attack us a little bit differently. And I would like to see us run with ball in hand. I just think that the team is a little bit concerned about potentially France turning the ball over, because that's where France are so dangerous when they get that turnover ball. Dupont fires it out. I think Ficou is criminally underrated. I think he's a fantastic player. Dante then is a huge ball carrier. So I think that the team are a little bit worried potentially about the ball being turned over. Any standout performances for you from Wales so far, would you say?
I think Falato's been huge so far. Like his his presence just around the field has been incredible. You know, he's making tackles. He's making a nuisance of himself down at the breakdown as well. But, you know, I think he's always going to do that. I think Seb Davis has played really well. He's made his tackles. He's made himself present. And more importantly, he's been that threat at line-out time. You know, I said to you when we did the preview, if they can get him and identify where France are throwing that ball, he's a really simple option to launch up there and just really put him under pressure, because I think Wokey is starting to find it a little bit frustrating that they're not getting this clean line-out ball. Aldrit has certainly looked a little bit shaky under the high ball in particular. So, yeah, we've got to make sure Bigger is really pulling the strings here, and I think it's important now that he gets the boys together and goes, look, we've really got to make sure now that if I'm going to put these kicks in, we're absolutely busting a nut to get up there and to get after that ball. And that's where his leadership has got to come in. Jonathan Davis around him, Falato, Navidi, those more senior players coming back in, use them to inspire and to lead the boys forward. And hopefully, as this second half starts to unfold, we will get more opportunities. As Nigel Owen just having a quick chat now, I'm sure he'll be pleased with what he's seen so far. We've stayed on the right side of the referee. I don't know what the stats are penalties-wise, but I don't think we've given away as many penalties as we have in recent games.
No. Well, as you just said there, lovely segue. We're going to have a quick look at the stats. There we go. And that was not pre-planned at all either, by the way. So I'll just share my screen quickly and we'll have a look at the stats. In terms of possession, France controlling possession and territory to an extent, but time in possession is really, really similar. I'm just going to try and find the stat for kicking the ball away. So possession kicked, Wales have kicked away 22% of the ball and France have kicked 14% of the ball, which is quite high for both teams, to be honest. And then France have passed it quite a bit more than Wales. But France, obviously, the way they want to play, a few more handling errors. If we have a look at discipline, so penalties, 3 penalties conceded for both sides. 2 in the ruck, obviously, and 1 scrum pen for Wales. So on the whole, not bad at all from Wales. But, I mean, I understand the game plan, but it just feels like it's a little bit of a containment at the minute. That's what we're trying to do, just contain France. Wales coming out on the pitch. France are back on it. What do you think will be the game plan? Would it be very much the same, or do you think something is going to have to change over the course of the game? Because I think France are going to have something different, and that they are going to look to attack from the off. And I'm sure Sean Edwards, in his beautiful French, would have told them what he thought of the performance. So what do you think will change for Wales? Or does anything change? Do we just keep going with what we're doing?
I think we stick with what's working. I think we'll continue to kick and we'll continue to pin France back. That ultimately will bring up the question, where are the tries going to come from? So we've got to vary a little bit, or otherwise it's going to become expected. So try and keep France pinned back. They're not, like we said, they're not going to score from their own 22. So keep them pinned back, And eventually the frustration will explode and end up in sort of penalties, knock-ons, things like that coming through. But the pressure has to be there. And Wales have really got to realise now that ultimately France will be the most frustrated at halftime, because after 10 minutes, they must have thought they were going to be in for a walk in the park. But we're still there. We're still nuggeting away. And as long as we stick to what's working and we keep the pressure on, there are cracks that we can exploit in this French side. And I just hope, we got 40 minutes to go, we can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. We're all set for kickoff then. And make sure, if you're watching and you're just joining us, to leave a like on the stream, subscribe. If you're watching on Facebook or Twitch, of course, make sure to follow us. And there, we just kicked off here. Dan Bigger kicking us off, and Aldrit's collecting it for France here. So second half, France still chasing that Grand Slam, of course. They're on course to do it. And Dupont will look to clear this one down the field.
I think Wales will take that,
off, which we will absolutely take.
I've just been having a quick glance through Twitter, and obviously we haven't heard a great deal of it because we've been chatting on here, and I've got it on like quite low. Apparently, Joe Worsley is having an absolute mare in the commentary booth. It sounds like
French names.
Apparently somebody said it looks like he's been dragged off the street last minute and forced to go in the commentary box. He just doesn't sound like he's got a clue what he's talking about. Oh, France have made some changes. Awas is on already.
Oh,
So
wow.
Antonio was blowing out his backside.
So Wales do win the line out just outside the 10-meter line.
Bigger looks like he's limping in the backfield.
Yeah, he is a bit, isn't he? Adam Beard out here to Liam Williams and knocked on. So chance here for France. This is where they're dangerous, but then knocked on by France. So it'll be a scrum to the French. Let's have a look at some more of your comments. Don't know who your cousin is, Karma Peach, but hello to them in method. Greetings to Cardifians from Flagstaff, Arizona. Come on, Beth. Hope you're doing well. Joseph. Hello to you, Johan. Hope you're doing well, mate. Good to see you in the chat. Yeah, Wales are doing pretty well at the minute.
That is the best comment I've seen. Shockingly great. It's like we can't quite believe it, but it is actually like good what we're doing. It's not good, but it is good at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm talking about, man. I've been locked in the house for the last 4 days. Cabin fever setting in.
We just saw a shot of Wayne Pivac there, and I wonder, how would you not summarize this is his second Six Nations now, and not summarize, but how would you look back over the past 2 years? I would say there has been some improvement in some areas, but it's been a difficult transition, hasn't it? I still feel like we lack identity. How do you feel?
I think the biggest thing is he would have hoped that by now he would be refining and building on what's good. But unfortunately, we're still in a place where we've got to still try and search for things that are still working. And Zippy has just put in the comments now the word that I was literally just about to say is we're still experimental. We're less than a year out, well, just over a year out from a World Cup, and we're still experimenting things that work, combinations. You know, the fact that we talked about it in the preview, Wales haven't played the same 15 in 2 tests since Pivac took charge, which is something that we didn't really notice under Gatland.
Yeah.
He sort of had his go-to guys, and sometimes it was a bit frustrating because they may not have been the best in their position, but at least there was consistency, and you knew if there were things to be improved, there were areas that you could identify. But yeah, we're still a bit of an identity crisis, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're still, I mean, Pivac was there, not Pivac, Gatland was there for 10 years, over 10 years. Wales penalised at the breakdown. And, you know, in those kind of situations there, we were going through the phases, nothing was working. I don't mind then going for a kick, looking to change it up. And, but chance here for France. Yeah, it's been an odd one for Pivac. I still think he does lack identity with the team. He's still trying to work out his best 15. It hasn't helped with injuries.
No.
But
the one thing I will say as well, though, is that it seems like let's talk about the Tame Basham thing. You know, the thing that was identified through the media was that Tame Basham was told that there were things that he wasn't doing great. Then tell him what he needs to improve. Not drop him completely. You know, he's a player. Yeah, he's a young player. But these are the games that are going to mould him in the training camp this week. Right, things that we weren't working on, let's work on them together.
Yeah. And it's similar with Ellis Jenkins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just been cast aside now, Ellis Jenkins. You know, he's out in South Africa.
Not a word about it either. Not a single word about it.
No.
France coming forward here, though, into the Wales 22.
And this is where you've got to be careful now, because the speed of ball is
advantage. Just as you say that, got to be careful. Advantage.
Yeah.
So chance here for France to potentially do something, and they'll come back for the original penalty. Not offside, was it? Yeah, offside. Adam Beard penalised for being offside. So big decision for France. This
they've got to take a penalty. You know, they haven't scored points since the 12th minute. So I think they definitely need that opportunity now to. Oh, Jesus Christ. Need the opportunity to settle the French side down, because that was the first time that they've attacked.
Yeah.
And although ultimately it wasn't the most threatening, they made a lot of meters in a very short space of time, whereas that you look at that phase just now where we went ball through hand, we didn't really get anywhere. So ultimately, I think we've just got to make sure that, like what you said there, vary the game up a bit. If it's not working, stick it in the corners. Because we've conceded 2 penalties there, which have worked out at 60 metres, and ultimately it's cost us 3 points. And waited until they went over. It cost us 3 points. So, we're still only 4 points behind, but that's sort of like giving the French that impetus now that they know they can get into the 22 and they can put that pressure on quite easily.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. It's it's an odd one, that penalty, but Wales gets back in the way. Let's have a look at some more of your comments. Wales' attack is quite poor. Honestly, if Pivac could work with them on their attack a bit more. I agree, and I think the thing is, you look at our bench, you've got someone like Louis Rees-Zammit, and the way we're playing just does not help him. Like, he wouldn't get the ball in hand, and the message would be simply for him, kick, when really you'd want him to run with it, but you don't want him to get caught in possession. Right, I'm going to try and say this word, but we'll have to see. I just Googled to see what it means. Some players need to be super... Ben, do you want to give that a go?
Superannuated.
That's the one. That's how I was going to say it. Basically, that means outdated, need to be moved on. I think that's what it means. That's what I just Google told me.
Well, if you look at the word annual, like go for annual, like date, calendar sort of thing, maybe.
Yeah. So I think I'm on the right track with it. I agree. Some players potentially do. But I think there are some good young players coming through, and I think there are players knocking at the door. I don't think rugby in Wales is as bad as people make out. That's a lovely kick.
What a kick from Bigger.
Right into the corner, 5 metres out. So big chance here for Wales. If France win today, will they win the Six Nations? Ask me that after the Ireland-England game tomorrow. Not even if England win, then obviously they're still in it.
Yeah.
But it very much depends on how they win that game. Because I've not been impressed by England really at all this Six Nations. It's not clicked for them yet.
Well, I was just going to say, when I was picking my fantasy rugby team this week, I didn't pick one English back because for me, their attack is as clueless as ours at the minute.
Yeah. So driving maul here for Wales. 1 in the air. Thomas Francis holding the ball. Give it back to Elias. Finally gets it. Yalonk needs to watch the position. Elias peels off the back. I don't think the forwards were really aware that he was going to try and do that. What's going on here? Has he got it down?
Well, it's going to be a
held up.
Goal line dropout. This is the one thing this is one of the rules I don't like, because for a team attack in there, you were at the try line then, and now all of a sudden we're going to be back towards halfway trying to go again.
Yeah, and that was a brilliant position as well, and it seemed like there was a little bit of lack of communication as Ryan Elias peeled away from the back.
I don't know why he peeled away.
Yeah, we were going forward quite nicely there. Folks, if you're just joining us, by the way, make sure to hit the like, subscribe if you're on YouTube, follow if you're on Twitch or Facebook. France leading here by 30 points to 9, about 50 minutes gone so far. 1 try in the game. Come on, have a run now. Come on, Bigger, have a run.
No.
He's going to send it up. Sends it up. Liam Williams following. Oh, knocked on by Untamak. And a decent position here for Wales. It's not clicking for France, is it, at all? It really isn't clicking for them.
This is what we talked about when we did the preview video. It's going to be little things like this that are going to start to get inside this French head. You talk about that implosion. I don't think it's necessarily going to be an implosion, but it's going to be little things like that. That one of the biggest ways to describe it, I can think of that, is Sexton. He's one of those players that once you get inside his head and those small, like little sort of insignificant, those things you don't think are that significant, start happening again and again, a drop pass, a big hit, stuff like that. It gets into these players' heads, and then all of a sudden, in the attack now, where Untamak's, looking at another hanging ball, that last one is in his head already. So it's those sorts of things we've got to play on, and those things you need to build with. Yeah, absolutely. We need to put pressure on them. And we said that, as you said in the preview, so we've got to be putting pressure. Cuthbert looking like he could be the first receiver if the scrum doesn't need to be reset. It does. Of course it does.
It's like if the referee has no idea, it's like just reset it. Just reset it. Who knows what happened?
But that's one thing I would like to see brought into rugby is like a maximum, like, I don't know, let's say 2 resets. If it doesn't work in 2 resets, indirect free kick to the attacking side.
Well, they did that in Major League Rugby in the USA. I think it's 2 resets, and then the referee has to make a decision of some sorts. And that just speeds the game up. Otherwise, I mean, when I was younger, I played a bit on the wing and played at scrum half. When I played on the wing, when the scrum went down and then they came back up and then it went down again and it was cold and it was pissing down with rain, that was not fun.
Yeah.
That was not fun.
I always remember that the games were the worst, where you get that referee that's adamant that the only reason the scrum is going down is because of a really poor bit of turf. And he goes, all right, let's move it this way. All right, we're moving over this way. And then you're moving back and forth, crabbing back and forth. And in the end, you're going, ref, it's not going to help. Like, you know, there's bigger problems going on here.
Absolutely. Wales here, just outside the 22, they do get away from the scrum. I'll take a look at your comments in just a second, folks. There's some good comments and questions in there. But Wales on the attack here. Gareth Thomas, good run. This is where we need a little bit of creativity, but again, be patient and understand the spaces will come.
But France are not committing. See, there's no French bodies in that ruck there whatsoever. They're being very selective.
Yeah, the tackler goes in, makes the tackle, gets up, tries to compete ever so slightly.
Oh, neck roll.
Wales penalised. Is it a neck roll? Yeah, Falatau penalised for a neck roll there. And again, just frustrating because just so unnecessary. So unnecessary. Right, let's have a look at some more of your comments. I like how Ireland are playing since Joe Schmidt left and Andy Faucigo. They play nicely and expansively, and they play with nice decoy moves. Well, what Fowler's done so well is just build on what Schmidt's had already, and it's ingrained in the Irish way of playing. You know, the speed of ball at the ruck is just the best in the world. You see it at regional level, and now you see it at the national side. A question for you, Ben, on this one. The Welsh regions are poor both in quality and finance. So does it really make sense to prevent players from playing in better leagues with a 60 cap rule? What do you make of that rule? It kind of is in place and kind of...
Yeah.
What do you make of it?
I think if you look at the nearest things we can compare ourselves to, if you look at England and you look at Ireland, majority of England's players play in England. Majority of Ireland's players play in Ireland. Even to the point now where you see the French teams, there's very few French players that leave France now. You know, they're all pretty much playing within their home region. So I think it's going to take a lot of money for the WRU to bring the regions up to the standard that the Irish provinces are, the English Premiership clubs. I think we're way off that, and we're far, far too much money away from that happening. What we can do, though, is allow our players to go and play in these better environments, and it'll allow that exposure to not only a higher tier of rugby, but in a more competitive environment. I think for so many of these players today, they're playing for regions that are just not competitive at all, and they come into this environment there. And these French teams, they play in games like this week in, week out in the top 14. And it shows, and it really makes a difference, especially in these sort of like this important period just after halftime. It really shows. So I wouldn't be against us completely relaxing the rule to allow players to go and play, you know, in England, France. It wouldn't bother me in the slightest. The only thing it would bother me is the contract situation. We saw with Duhan van der Merwe on the weekend being red carded because he had to go back to Worcester, and now he can't play in the rest of the Six Nations. So it's little things like that. It's a bit of to and fro in, but ultimately, I don't think the Welsh Rugby Union are going to throw the money at the regions that they need to get them back to some sort of competitive level. Yeah,
and I think it's going to take time, as you say, and a lot of money. I mean, you look at the Dragons here. The Dragons are a complete enigma. Knock on from France. They're a bit scrappy at the minute, but the Dragons are a complete enigma. You know, they make good signings, and they've made a lot of good signings ahead of next season. And apparently Dean Ryan's going to get a new 3-year deal, which is interesting. And they've only won one game all season. The Ospreys then, you know, we've been the best of the regions, but that's not saying much, to be honest. I know that Cardiff have plenty of games in hand. And when you look at the team on paper, it's a really strong team on paper, but can you get that team on the field regularly?
Yeah.
And then the Scarlets under Dwayne Peel, new coach come in, trying to play some expansive style of rugby as well. So It's a bit of a mess. I do think there are some good young players coming through, but it's going to take plenty of time.
This is one of them. Perfect segue. Dewi Lake. For me, I would rather see him start than Ryan Elias at the moment. I think I really like Dewi Lake. Obviously, I would love to see Elliot D in there. I think he's probably one of our better front row ball carriers. But for me, Dewi Lake, I can't see a lot that he's done wrong this Six Nations. You know, he's got 25 minutes now to have a really good crack at this French side, and perhaps he's what we need, someone to really punch a hole in that game line. So all the best to him for the next 25.
Scrum's turning here. Big scrum from France.
And DuPont's come away with it. Just can't keep our own ball.
Honestly, you just need to get the ball in and get it out.
Yeah.
But France have managed to turn over. France did make some changes. Well, they changed their front row. And as Ben just said there, Dewi Lake is on for Ryan Elias. We'll have a quick look at the bench. I'll bring it up on the screen quickly, and you can let me know if there's anyone else. I mean, we're 55 minutes into it. So the options, obviously, we've got Dewi Lake on. Wyn Jones already been on, but he can come on again. We've got Dylan Lewis there, who's a potential option. Moriarty, Jack Morgan, Hardy's already on. And then you've got Anscombe and Louis Samet. Is there anyone there that you're looking at this point thinking you can come on and make a difference, or is it? It's not the game for Louis Samet, is it? It's just not the game for him at all.
I think Dylan Lewis could be a really good option because he gives you that extra breakdown threat. He's really, really good over the ball. You know, he can sink into that sort of low squat position and hold himself over the ruck, even if players are flying in at him. Similarly, Jack Morgan, I would like to see Jack Morgan come on. Likelihood is, I would imagine, that Seb Davis is going to move down into the second row to allow a back row position to free up, which then, like we talked about on Thursday, you're giving yourself 4 back rowers on the pitch there, which if the game starts to open up, then that could be something that could benefit us. But yeah, I don't think it's a game for Louis Samet. And if you do bring him on, the game plan doesn't suit his sort of abilities.
No.
So if you are going to bring him on, what's he going to do differently than, you know, Alex Cuthbert and Josh Adams have been doing for the first 50 minutes?
Yeah, it's not the game for him at all. Although when he's come off the bench for Gloucester recently, he comes on and scores pretty much straight away. So
yeah, he sort of finds that space and he finds that opportunity, doesn't he?
A little bit scrappy here from Wales.
Oh my gosh.
Pass.
That's a hospital pass if ever I've seen one.
I reckon Dewi Lake will hear that from Liam Williams after the game, because that pass.
I think it was Gareth Thomas.
Gareth Thomas, sorry. Bigger's going to send this one up.
Yeah, well, look. There we go. We're lucky there because we lost all shape. We lost all. You look at where we were. We were almost on the French 10-meter line, and we ended up back on our own 10-meter line. It's absolutely abysmal. This is at the minute. Attacking wise, we have not thrown a punch for nearly an hour.
Yeah, I've got into that 22. We've kicked it away. So you know, honestly, so chancing for Wales though to send it down to the 22. As I said at half time, I felt like it was a plan of just containing France, and I sometimes think you need to be. You want to, especially at home, you want to try and control the game. You want to dictate the game, you know. And at the minute, we're just frustrating France, and it just takes one moment, one bit of space, one loose kick, because you know the quality that they have. A line out here to Wales, though, on the 22. Wales slow.
This takes me back to the South Africa game in the autumn. We didn't go out there to try and beat South Africa at anything. Yeah. We just went out to try and contain South Africa and just pinch what we could. So, this is where you fear that, you know, that one try, that one moment in the game could really hurt us.
Yeah, France do a really good setup there. They're driving more. Wales get it out, though. Bigger tries the cross kick. Knocked on by France, was that?
I would have said so.
You got Jaco Piper, who had a interesting game.
The thing, if you're going to play that crossfield kick tactic, Josh Adams had to completely stop running to catch the ball.
Like, it was right on him. He wasn't running onto it, was he? They're just going to check this one, I think. Are they going to check it, or are they just... Oh, Thomas Francis is going off, it looks like.
That's what... There we go. See, mate, somebody is listening to me. If you want to give me a job,
That's a
I'm more than happy.
dangerous thought. That's a dangerous thought.
I've got all the gear,
but no idea.
but no, absolutely no idea.
So that has been knocked on by. Oh no, was it knocked backwards by Jaminet? I actually think that's been knocked backwards by him.
I think it's come off Jaminet's hand, but
I think he's knocked it back, hasn't he? Oh, I don't know. Did he knock it on to Josh?
They're not looking at this in terms of a deliberate knock on, surely.
If they are, this is absolutely ridiculous.
Well, Josh Adams is pedaling back, so I think they're giving
it's going to France. It's
the way they were looking at that then and slowing it down. I was like, oh, for God's sake, please don't say they're looking at it deliberate.
Yeah. Let's sort of go some more of your comments. Did you guys learn the Welsh language at school? I'm fluent in Welsh. In Welsh language. So my mum was a Welsh teacher, so I had no choice in it. What else have we got here? On that situation with the regions, the problem stemmed from low attendance figures. Back in the 90s, more fans set up for Bridge Enders Neath games than they do Ospreys games today.
Yes.
Brilliant penalty for Wales, though, just outside, knocked on by Dante. I think on that point there about the regions, what people have to remember as well is that these regions only came into existence in 2003-04.
Yeah.
You know, before that, it'd been Neath, Swansea, Pontypridd, Carmarthen, Newport. It'd been all these teams. And all of a sudden, you're saying, right, Neath and Swansea, who are huge rivals, now have to come together and support one team.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit too young to remember that and to remember the impact of that. Kieran Hardy's down here. I mean, hope he's okay because we wouldn't have a replacement scrum half.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
As soon as you said that, then I had in my head, I was just like, oh, Bergamasco. Oh, dear. Who remembers that experiment? Crikey, Moses. Were you watching rugby when that infamous game was played?
What year was that?
Oh, I want to say it was like 2006, 2007, something like that. No, it wouldn't have been. It was before the 2009 Lions tour, I remember, because he threw one disgusting pass and Ricky Flutie picked it up and scored. And then that was the Six Nations that pretty much put him in the Lions squad. So I'm sure it was like 2009, 2010.
Yeah,
something like
2010, that. Gavin says, yeah.
Oh, mate, absolutely horrendous decision that was.
Yeah,
you know what? He's all right. He steps in every time the scrum half is at the bottom of the ruck. Let's start him with scrum half.
Yeah. Interesting comment here. If Wales want to be great, then they must try to get Scott Robertson, the current head coach of the Crusaders, their new head coach. It's not a bad shout, but as Gavin says, that it's too close to a World Cup. I felt like I said, I don't think I said it publicly, but I definitely said it to you. I said, if Wales were only to win one game in the Six Nations, I wouldn't have a problem with Pivac going. And it's not going to happen, obviously, because we're so close to a World Cup. But
I think that if they're going to do it, they've got to be bold and they've got to say, look, he's going right at the end of the Six Nations. They have to make the decision that quickly because obviously we've got a summer tour coming up. Then ultimately after that, it's Autumn Internationals, Six Nations, and then we're back into and Seb Davis is coming off now. And then we're back into World Cup cycle then. So if they're going to do that, this surprises me. I thought Seb would have done the full game, see?
Yeah. I thought Jack Morgan would have come on. I don't know what Moriarty offers, really. That's going to affect this French side, to be honest.
He's looking for someone to punch holes.
Interesting decision. Yeah, I think with Pivac, it's a difficult one. The next year is really important. I don't know. I'm still to be convinced by him, to be honest.
Personally, I think regardless of result of the World Cup, I think Pivac's days are numbered. You know, I think
I think so as well.
Pardoning one, extreme case where Jesus Christ, you make it to like a semi-final or a final again, which off current experiences, we got more chance of winning the lottery than that happening. Then I think that his days as the Welsh coach are numbered.
Chance. Good ball, Falatau, Jonathan Davis. Hold on to it.
Flaming hell.
The one time you've actually got the ball in your hands and you can't hold on to it.
Broken field.
Come on, Liam, run. Oh, just run. Oh, never mind. I'll shut up. He wins it in the air.
Oh, Jonathan Davis will be kicking himself. That was an absolute signed, sealed, delivered try time.
Yeah, he
go
should
and give. Go and give.
Josh Adams, stay in.
Grabbed so much then. Navidi, stay strong.
And line out to France.
No, Welsh.
Was it Welsh? I'd want to see that pass into Jonathan Davis, but I felt like it was a good pass.
That was try time. I'm sorry.
Here we are. We're watching it here.
Look at the numbers.
Bigger spots of space. Faletau. Oh, yeah, he's got to catch that. He's taking his eye off it.
He knows Dupont's coming across.
Running at him. He's got to catch that. Yeah, he's taking his eye off it. You can't do that. Even though he probably knows Dupont's on him, just get the ball, take into contact. We recycle, we go quick. Oh, there's a big chance there. Wales, though, from the line out. France come up quickly in defence. Moriarty carries. Waukke's over that. He's on the floor, though. Hardy spots half a gap, needs the support. Ball's there for Wales. Slow ball, though. Faletau. Get Aldrit off it. Good. Advantage to France.
Yeah, he was the first man in.
I thought he'd been taken off his feet, but
for me, he turned the ball over. So why is that now a penalty?
I thought that he got his hands on the ball and then he went off his feet. So I thought Matt Carley was very quick onto that. Louis Rees-Sammet's coming on.
Oh, this poor lad. Like, right, this is the first time I'm going to swear all stream, right? But this poor lad is being expected to shit miracles.
Yeah.
He's a young kid. You're bringing him on in an international game where Wales have launched no attacks whatsoever, and you're expecting him to come on and go on, run the length. Like, if he does it, then fair play to him, right? But to turn around and drop him in the England game and say, he made a few mistakes against Scotland, and now go, right, there we are, let's go.
Yeah.
I just think that's poor kid. Poor kid.
I hope the message for him though is get the ball and just run. I hope that's the message for him, is literally just get the ball and run, have a go. Aldrit is off.
I haven't seen that for as many years as I've been watching France and Aldrit in the team. I can't remember the last time I saw Aldrit taken off. I know he looked a bit shaky after that, but
Jonathan Davis off. Oh, we're putting Josh Adams in the centre.
Oh, no. What's happening?
What is going on? Did he not watch the game against Ireland? So Dante is going to be running. Ficou's going to be running at Josh Adams in the centre. I've got nothing against Josh Adams. I think he's a brilliant winger. But that's the point. He's a winger. So we're going to put Josh Adams in the centre.
I'll be honest. I'd have been happier to see Cuthbert go into the centre.
Maybe that's what's happening. I don't know.
No, Cuthbert's still out in the wing. I'm sure I saw Josh Adams in the midfield.
We don't even have Nick Tompkins in there to cover. Yeah, Josh Adams
is covering 13.
As Wales managed to hold him up here, Dante does manage to get to ground. France in the 22 here. Bizarre.
That's a huge run, but he just gets absolutely smashed.
Yeah. Bizarre selection, that. I don't think Jonathan Davis had a great game. And Smac's in the pocket, and he's missed it.
Bluffed it. It's another one.
Just wide there.
It's another moment.
If I'm Ficou, if I'm Dante now, I am running hard at Josh Adams. Just getting on his outside channel, cutting on his inside, confusing him. He won't know which way to go. Because against Ireland, that was the thing. Ringrose and Aki, was it, just had a field day with him. Watkin is going to have to put in a huge, huge shift now. I mean, they're just carrying Dupont around here. Surely we've held him up. Ref, come on. Penalty to Wales. There we go. I thought for a second he wasn't going to give it.
Oh,
Fair play
right.
to Josh Adams holding DuPont up and Louis Rees-Zammit as well. But I hope the message for Louis Rees-Zammit is when you get the ball, just run. Just run, just have a go.
I don't even think it's that. Express yourself. Just go out there, express yourself. Because look at that there, like, oh my God.
Yeah, holding the man up. Love to see it.
Can we just... Josh Adams is playing in the centre again.
I said never again. It's like PTSD is coming back.
Honestly, I'm having Vietnam flashbacks, like. That.
The thing is, like, both of us, we got nothing against Josh Adams, and it's not his fault he's been played in the centre. Wyn Jones has just come on for Gareth Thomas, by the way. Like, it's not his fault he's been played in the centre. He's just not a centre.
No.
Like, he just isn't, and you're taking away his qualities on the wing. Like, we're going to check something here on the TMO.
Are they looking at one of these French clear-outs? Because I'm sure that I heard the crowd go mental at one point because of like an armlet that had been swung in or something like that.
We're going to have a look here. Matt Carney's going to have a look at the TMO. What are we looking at here? Okay, turning Josh Adams over.
He doesn't land dangerously. There's nothing in that, really.
Penalty, maybe. I mean, he's just turned him over.
Yeah, that's literally what he's done.
Neck rolled or anything.
Unless he does do him for a neck roll. That's the only thing. He is going to give a penalty by the looks of things.
Wow.
That's...
Soft.
That is a soft penalty, I will say.
I'm not complaining. But
this is the thing. If this was any other team playing now, I'd be like, oh, that's absolute nonsense. Like, but it's your own team. You're like, you take those.
Yeah, penalty all day. Penalty all day. How's that not yellow? No, definitely not.
Can you imagine the press? You know, Wales put pressure on France after a yellow card. Oh, yeah. There's a shock.
You can imagine it, can you?
Right.
So line up to Wales on the 10-metre line. Not the greatest kick from Bigger. Let's see what is...
Let's do something.
On here. If this gets down to Kieran Hardy and he sends it into Bigger and he sends it up here, right, doesn't. Owen Watkin. Anscombe's on.
Nobody there.
Anscombe on for Liam Williams, I assume?
Yeah, I would assume he'd go to full-back if Bigger's still on.
Yeah.
See, look how many men we're having to commit to win the ruck ball. It's just way too many.
I mean, Navidi is absolutely everywhere at the minute.
Yeah.
Chance to release the backs. Oh, Louis Rees-Zammit gets absolutely sandwiched.
That's the thing. We just got to do the simple things first. Make the hard yards, get France on the back foot, and then look to exploit. That was a dangerous pass.
Yeah, Fiku was rushing there.
Knees are on the floor.
Bigger puts the kick through. Not the greatest kick, but I can understand why he was doing it at that point. So line out to France. Again, we just look so derived of ideas at the minute. Josh Adams looked discombobulated at centre versus Ireland. I think that's been kind, to be honest. Greetings, BS Rugby. We'll can't stay long. We'll be able to live stream myself. Go and drop by and give the stream a like. I massively appreciate that. Wales with more possession in the second half, but really not created anything at all. I mean, no points for Wales in the second half, and only the 3 for France. Come on.
Dare I say these words? No, I won't say them. There's 10 minutes to go yet. Oh, well done, Cuthbert boy.
Lovely from Cuthbert.
Up underneath the rim.
Again, this week, he's looked busy. He's tried to get his hands on the ball. He's been strong defensively.
I like him as a first phase option. Like we talked about it Thursday, but he's taking that pressure off the centres, having to hit the ball up the middle. Yeah. He doesn't mind coming in and doing that donkey work.
Bigger sends it down. Again, just a really loose pass. Time for Ntamak here. We're into the final 10 minutes pretty much here. Wales trailing by 4. Bigger's going to send this one up. Chance for Louis Rees-Zammit to chase it. Gone forward from France. So chance
advantage to Wales as well.
Quick ball. Not Wyn Jones as the first receiver. Ball out to Faletau on the right-hand side.
That man gets through a truckload of work. It is ridiculous. I saw it as Squidge Rugby tweeted at halftime. He was like, don't want to alarm anybody, but Taulupe Faletau is the best player in the world. And if you disagree with me, then you're just completely wrong. He's literally, the man staggers me. He comes from months off injured, and he just does stuff like this. He sets the world alight. There we late. Let's go.
Oh, Louis Rees, go on. Go on, go. That's come off France.
It's a penalty advantage anyway. Let's go. Come on.
Big decision.
Go, boys. Dig deep. Let's go. Go to the corner.
Here.
I'd say corner.
Corner.
Because look at where it is
on
as
the halfway
well.
line, yeah, so...
I've met that guy.
That summarizes how we all feel, honestly.
I've met that guy a couple of times, but I had a chat with him once at a Cardiff Scarlets game, and he cracks me up every time because hang on, we're taking a scrum.
What's going on here?
He must have given them options for something else that happened.
On the 22.
So we had an option of taking the offside or a scrum where the ball was kicked. Oh, no, it's a knock-on he's given that one for. Okay, right.
Interesting. Right, come on, we've got to see something here. If you've moved Josh Adams to the centre, there's got to be a reason.
Yeah.
Maybe. This is where we want to see it.
Right, I'm going to say it now because they've just taken him off. Antoine who? He literally...
He's had a really quiet game.
And we talked about that. If Wales were ever going to do anything in this game, they had to disrupt that 9-10 axis. Yeah. And they had to try and put pressure on it. And Dupont hasn't had a chance to do what he does in this game.
No.
The only way now that we can show that worked is if we win this game. Yeah. And, 4 points down with 8 minutes to go.
Perfect position
now.
As well. Go on, got to be a solid scrum.
What on earth is happening there? Come on, Dylan, you can't crap this up for us now. Come on.
I want to see something. I want to see a move here from the backs. I want to see something. If this goes back to big and he sends it up,
this is interesting now, though, because with Anscombe on, you've got 2 10s on the pitch. And look at where they lined up. They did this earlier in the game. They lined up directly behind the scrum. So they're trying to keep France guessing where they're going. Yeah. They could both flood one way. They could split their options. But we got to win the scrum first.
Solid scrum from Wales. Hardy gets it out into the hands of Bigger into Josh Adams.
Angle from Josh Adams.
Oh, Hardy, what are you doing? Oh, it's so slow now. Will Rowlands.
Good Rowlands.
Come on.
Where's that ball?
Hardy has to go slow. Derry late carries. Into Moriarty. Steps inside. Tackle, push back. Hardy. Into Wyn Jones. Bigger. Oh, intercepted.
He just took an age to make that decision there, and now we've
got penalty to France as well at the breakdown. I mean, the reality is
clueless.
We haven't looked like scoring today. We have not looked like scoring once.
We look clueless, absolutely clueless.
The problem was that Josh Adams took a brilliant line, got slightly over the gain line, and then the ball was just really, really slow from there. And then you're just running out of brick wall. So Jamne will clear this one. We're heading towards the final 5 minutes. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're watching, of course, folks. Let me know your thoughts as we go along. William says, seems like Wales haven't allowed France to play well. I agree, but it's been comfortable for France. Again, we've said the word contain. That's all Wales have managed to do. and we just have not looked like scoring whatsoever. And this game has been absolute rubbish. Kick, absolutely. 5 minutes to go now. Was that Wales' chance?
These Friday night games are never... I don't know whether it is the Friday night factor, but they are never the most thrilling games to watch.
We played like Samoa or Japan at home on a Friday night, and it's always been like a...
They're always like arm wrestle games.
Do you remember Sam Davis once got a last-minute drop goal against Japan, I think it was, to draw the game? Where's that ball going? Someone claim it. I thought that went forward from us. I'm not going to lie.
I thought Louis Reese had put a hand to that.
Yeah. Oh, Will Rowland, though. Come on. Support him. How long does it take to get there?
Oh Jesus Christ.
Honestly, Dante had all the time in the world there. All the time in the world just to get over that. Dylan Lewis was jogging nice and slowly, like he's on a leisurely jog.
He's just come on. He should be busting together. What is it?
So simple for Dante there.
I think if you're France, you take the points and kill the game off.
And I think that's then game over.
Look at this, right? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Just too slow. Too slow.
It's just not good enough. And
Wales are given a blueprint for the whole world on how to beat France. Well, we forgot the bit of beating. That's the bit we forgot to do tonight. Navidi off, Jack Morgan on.
For the sake of 4 minutes.
What he offers.
Yeah, what does Jack Morgan...
in his last 4 minutes?
What does Jack Morgan offer in 4 minutes?
Yeah. Wales' attack is just as bad as England's.
Yeah.
I'd say it's probably worse, to be honest. I mean, Jack Morgan has been outstanding this season for the Ospreys, but at the breakdown, this is not the game where he needs to be playing. Similar to Louis Rees-Zammit. Word with his players here. I think Jamne will go for the posts here. He is as well on the halfway line. If he gets this, I think it's game over.
Well, it takes it to a 7-point game, which means Wales have got to get a converted try just to draw it. So
yeah,
I think, if you're Welsh, keep your fingers, your eyes, your toes, everything crossed that he misses this and we have one last chance at it. But I genuinely think we could be out here until Sunday, and I still don't think we'd score a try because we just don't look. The best chance we had was the Jonathan Davis effort. Yeah. And that came from disjointing the French defence, which we've done time and time again. But it just seems like it's so inconsistent that we haven't got an attacking blueprint to work from.
No, I completely agree. So Jamine here lining this one up. He's missed it.
He has
pulled
missed
it wide. Big let off for Wales. Anscombe will keep playing. He sends it down. It's a pretty average effort. Yeah, it is. Obviously, the game isn't over. There's something could happen. France with a decent attacking line out here. What kind of changes would you be thinking for the Italy game? Is it pretty much just a wholesale changes, or what are you thinking at this point?
I'll be honest with you, it's probably the first time that I would have ever said this in your presence, but I have no clue what we do. Do you stick with this side that he's put out today and just see if it works in a different environment? I don't know whether that works personally. Do you ring wholesale changes and then turn around and go, yep, brilliant, that worked. Where do we go from here now? We beat if we beat a bang average Italy side, what are we going to do? So
what do we learn from that? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I mean,
we need to turn this ball over. Like, France are going to happily just see these next couple of minutes out now, but we've got to try and put pressure on at ruck time.
Counter discipline has to be good as well. You don't want to give France a chance.
Yeah, but they're sealing this ball off big time. Like, they're not
going to kick this. He is. Wow.
Interesting.
With a minute and a half to go, they kick it. Call for the mark, Anscombe.
Right,
Tap and go. Look, there's a cross kick. Go on, Louis. Go on, step inside. Love that. Love that. Wales up to the 10-metre line. Come on, talk to each other! That's gone backwards, apparently. I don't know if that's right.
No, I'll be honest, I'm a bit in two minds about that as well.
Bigger into Watkin, bit of space for him. Again, we just have no ideas.
We're not presenting the ball well at all. We're just like bouncing it around.
Have we got an advantage here? Oh, no. Went backwards, you're saying. Oh, no, we did have an advantage.
Knock on advantage. Right, this is it.
This scrum, you need someone as the receiver off this scrum to do something. I swear, if we get this and we just... Oh, of course, they bring on all the water people for France.
Yeah.
I mean, France are out on their feet here.
Marchand gets man of the match.
Yeah, that's a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah. And to be fair, I don't think that there was any individual standout from this game that could take player of the match. But the only thing you've got to say is that Marchand just disrupted absolutely every bit of attacking ball we had until he was taken off. So
the only other guy I could have said was Dante. I thought did a decent amount of work at the breakdown, turning a bit over. But apart from that, not been the greatest game. Let's have a look at some more of your comments. Honestly, France look knackered, both teams. Gavin thinks it should be an absolute overhaul. Nothing to lose now against Italy. Glad I didn't get a ticket for this match. Yeah, think of the people who paid £100 for this for a ticket. Yeah. Probably paid £200 to stay in Cardiff.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's never like it's never just like for you, you'd be traveling down from North Wales. But looking at it from my perspective, there's either the organisation of transport in terms of getting a lift down to Cardiff or public transport, which I think the average return from where I am now is about £15. Then when you get into Cardiff, then it's just manoeuvring around the city, and the average price of a pint is about £5. It's never just those outlining costs. I remember a French fan saying the one year when they came down, I think it was in 2011, that it was cheaper for them to fly over, watch the game, fly back, than it was to stay in Cardiff for the night. And that's it. Game over.
Yeah.
Well, I thought they turned that over then.
We're into the red here.
It's just so slow. We don't look like a team that's a try away from winning a game. We just look like someone that's just trying to see a game out. Malvaka's over that. Turnover.
Turnover for France, and that's going to be the game. And France going to win this one by 13 points to 9, as long as they can clear this, which you'd think they will.
France are going to win this game by having to play little to no rugby.
And there we go. That is the full-time whistle. France have won this one by 13 points to 9 at the Principality. And honestly, not a great game at all. Comfortable for France, you'd have to say. And really, a lot of question marks of the game plan for Wales in terms of attack. But, let me change that. But the final score is Wales 3. France, Wales 3? No. Wales 9, France 13. Can't do maths. There we go. So Wales 9, France 13. Just before we go then, folks, tomorrow, just before we go then, we are going to be doing 2 watch-alongs. Italy against Scotland will go live at around about 2 o'clock. And then we'll do Ireland against England. We'll go live about 4:30 for that. So do join us for them. How do you summarise that from a Welsh perspective, Ben? It's a tough one, isn't it?
Massively missed opportunity tonight. That game was there for the taking. France were not good. They did enough to get themselves through that game, but ultimately it came down to that one defensive lapse in the first half and our inability to finish any sort of attacking ball off whatsoever. I think that Stephen Jones needs to have a long, hard look at his team, because in attack, we're embarrassing. We've got some of the best attacking players. Josh Adams, Louis Rees-Zammit, Liam Williams, and they're doing nothing. And I think ultimately it is a massively missed opportunity tonight because that game was there for the winning.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I thought we offered nothing in attack. We never really looked like scoring. The areas we got into, we just made stupid decisions. For France, they had to win ugly tonight. Didn't really have to come out of second gear, to be honest. And I thought they managed the game pretty well. Let's finally go over some of your final comments. Worst game so far in the Six Nations. I'm glad it's over. Thanks, lads. Great channel. Massively appreciate that. As I said, tomorrow, Italy against Scotland. There's a link in the chat now. Hit that. You'll be notified of when we go live. And I'm also just quickly now going to drop the link to Ben's channel in the chat as well. We'll be doing an in-depth review at a fabulous game of rugby over the course of the weekend. I'm sure we'll touch on the other games as well. So do head over there and subscribe to Ben's channel. As we said before, it'd be interesting to see how many changes are made in terms of the Italy game. Again, nothing to play for Wales now. And I'm really intrigued to see what we do. And to be honest, I'm intrigued to hear what Pivac will say after the game on the game plan, because, yeah, I don't know what that was. Ben, as always, pleasure to have you on, mate. And
Thank you,
I'm sure I'll catch you at some point over the course of the next week or so. But we're going to leave it there. As I said before, Scotland against Italy tomorrow, live from 2 o'clock. I will see you then. Take it easy, guys.